What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tsla, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'll break down what's happening with the overall market moving forward, what's happening with the economic calendar, as we have a bunch of Fed speakers coming up, and all of this could affect the market moving forward, as we have this very, very big test that's coming for the markets moving forward. But before I begin the devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you guaranteed 7 free stocks, and all friends in just 8 days from now. Anyways, for SPY, I just want to say that right here, we did get this little bounce. I did call out that SPY is going to push as we try to open, and that is what happened so far. SPY ended up retesting the 530 area. This is exactly what we predicted. But the question is, will we establish a lower high relative to this high over here and get a little rejection, right? Is that what's about to happen? We get this rejection, start tipping all the way back down to 528, if not 526, or do we end up getting a bounce here and start pushing to a new all-time high? I'll be watching for that very, very carefully. Now, as far as the economic calendar goes, I just wanted to call out that we had Bostic from the Fed giving a speech, not to mention Barr, Waller, Jefferson, and a bunch of others, and Bostic. We'll be watching to see what happens with all these Fed speakers for today. At 9 o'clock a.m., we have Barr and Waller who just started their speeches. Then we have Jefferson at 10:30 a.m. At 11:30, we have some bill auctions. Then we have Bostic at 7 p.m. With all these Fed speakers and all this chit-chat from the Fed, please be very careful because when they speak, it could have a big effect on the way the market moves. So we'll see. Excuse me. We'll see what they end up announcing. That's going to be very, very important. For more data, we have some earnings coming out. We just had Wix announce their earnings. Zoom is coming out later on. And then for Tuesday, we have a bunch of retail like Macy's and Lowe's. And then Wednesdays, we have the notorious Nvda announcing its earnings, which is going to have a big effect on the market. So we'll be looking at that moving forward as well. Wix did relatively well with their earnings, by the way. We actually saw their EPS at $1.29 per share, which is not bad. And revenue hit about $419 million with good guidance. That's why the share price ended up exploding this pre-market session. For some news about the markets before I break down the charts, the Dow Jones is also closing above all-time highs. And we're continuing to see the S&P 500 and Nasdaq trying to push, but we're approaching some tough resistance. So you will see if this leads to any kind of moves to the downside or not. Also, guys, Nvda has its earnings this week. It's a $2.3 trillion company, the third largest S&P 500 stock by market cap, which means it could have a very, very significant effect on the overall market. I'll be watching that very carefully. Right now, the U.S. total deficit as a percentage of GDP is once again continuing to climb. And we're also starting to see that the federal debt has hit $34.5 trillion. This will be a bigger issue for the longer term. I believe that currently we have to address this as soon as we can because this will lead to a bigger problem, at least moving forward. But that's something worth noting. As far as other things go for Microsoft, they're going to be announcing more AI developments after, other companies such as Nvidia and Alphabet are kind of making their announcement. Microsoft is going to join in on this, and very soon they're going to be announcing new AI developments soon. What other things they're going to be allowing for builder developers during their conference this week. So that's going to be very important. We'll see what they end up announcing, but that's pretty much it for now. As far as news goes, I just want to note that right now, U.S. regulators are also ending many reviews on the Tesla Model X over seatbelt issues. That's some good news for Tesla. They're closing some probes, so that's not bad whatsoever. Anyways, we'll be watching to see what happens with the price action for today. SPY is currently still a little bit green in the pre-market, but we'll have to watch and see. So watch this test, guys. Will SPY break the all-time? I will start pushing with the Fed speaker speaking. If we break the all-time high, we're easily going to 532.5. If we come short, if we don't break this high and we get stopped out at 530, the very, very like mid 530s, and we get this rejection, then yes, we could be dipping all the way down to 528. And if that fails, let's look for 526.5. I'll be watching each of these levels very carefully, and I'm going to be very open-minded, guys, that it is possible to get a little rejection, but it depends on the Fed speakers. So that's the main thing right now. With all these Fed speakers coming out, we'll be watching this test. Will the lower high be established? Are we about to get this little pullback? I'll be just very patient. I'll be waiting to see how we end up opening. That's the best thing I can really tell you in a market like this. Be patient and wait because the Fed speakers will affect how we move, and we'll see if we establish a lower high or not. For Tesla, we have this resistance zone between 178 and 180. If we break through this, we have a cup and handle like structure that could lead to more upside. Technicals are bullish on Tesla for for now, but we have to break this high right here to get all the way up to 185. If we lose 177, look for 175, 172, then 170 as our supports. I think that Tesla may retest the 177s, but if we could get a bounce, and there could be an attempt to try to fill our imbalance up to about 180. Even if we do get a little push, we'll see how it ends up reacting to 180. It could still shuffle up here just a little bit, so I'll be watching this very carefully. But technicals do favor upside a little bit more, a little dip than a bounce into this 180 area, and we'll see what happens after that. For Nvda, there's a bit of a downward trend right up here. We had this high here, came down, made a lower high, came down, made a lower high. So I think that Nvidia is going to dip a little bit more. We might actually see a retest of our 50 EMA 933. If we lose this, there could be a gap fill all the way down to 925, and we'll see if we get a bounce off this very, very key trend line or not. But I do think there might be a little dip coming before it tries to bounce, so I'll be watching that very, very carefully. For Aapl is completely just range bound right now, but we are starting to show some weakness as we ended up breaking below this range. And even though we're back in it, we're still kind of struggling right now. So I'd say that watch 189.58 as resistance. If we get reject off that and we lose 189, look for a dip to 188 and 186.5. Watch resistance at 190.5 and 189.5. I think we might push a little bit, but there's a little bit of weakness here, which could lead to a little bit of downside in the chart. So we have like a triple top rejection. So Aapl might dip a little bit all the way down to this imbalance in the 187s. This could actually be a little bit more bearish for the markets. For more data, just real quick, Amzn hit this resistance at 185.5 exactly as predicted. And we're kind of rejecting a bit. If we do get a big rejection, look for a retest of 183 or lower. If we do break past 185.5, look for 187. As of right now, it's looking like Amazon's showing some weakness because resistance is very tight. So I'll give it some time. Same thing with Meta. Meta has resistance at the 50 EMA, this 472 area. Watch support at 469. If we lose this, we're going to be dipping even lower to pull this imbalance. We have a head and shoulders like structure 2. If we lose 469, look for more downside. If we hold it and break past 472, we could turn bullish, but right now there is potential for a little bit of a dip. For GameStop's actually dipping a little bit. We have a gap to fill below. We could retest 23, then start dipping all the way down to about 17. So I'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. For AMC, we could continue to fall and actually retest the 4 area. So I'll be watching to see what happens with AMC moving forward. For the VIX is actually trying to rebound just a bit, but we haven't broken past 12.4 yet. So if we break 12.4, we're going to be looking for a push. If it rejects, we're going to be coming back down, but we'll be watching this moving forward as well. With that being said, guys, for Coinbase, just a few more. Coinbase is still uptrending right now. We did expect it to push higher. Watch 211 as resistance, 207 as support, see which way it breaks. And that's pretty much it for my video, at least for now. Last thing, I think people are interested in Bitcoin. I'll just talk about that real quick before I conclude. Bitcoin got this little dip. We were talking about yesterday, you might get this little dip and a bounce, and that's what's happened so far. But we do have this tough resistance at the 67,000 area. If we break it, look for 68,000. But we're kind of shuffling right now, so I think Bitcoin might just remain range bound. So for now, I'm not really expecting too much. We have support at 65,500. We also have resistance at 67,000. All the way up here. It's just kind of trading sideways. So give it some time, and we'll see what happens from here. Anyways, that's it for the video. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll be back in a few hours to give you guys another update. And make sure you watch this big test on SPY. Are we about to break to the all-time high, or are we about to see a rejection, right? Y'all be watching this very, very carefully. Wait and see, guys. Be very patient in the market like this. It's very tricky with all these Fed speakers for today. All right, so thank you for listening. I'll see you guys in just a couple of hours, and peace out.